Hey, how's it going? So recently I've been playing a lot of TF2. I've been getting back into it. It's super fun to play with my friends. And after spending a lot of times with other FPS games, I've gravitated toward the sniper class, which, I never really enjoyed too much back in the day. I've always been a player that likes to get up in the action, like mechanically outplay people and rely on quick thinking to survive. And the sniper is not really that, and I still am. So I developed a playstyle that I think is pretty distinct from other snipers, and it's pretty effective as well. I'm going to cover some stuff that I wish I saw in other sniper guides, and if everything in this guide doesn't work for you, I hope there's still a few unique takeaways that you can apply to your sniper game to take it to the next level. In this guide, we're not really going to talk too much about aim or really basic things like what the weapons do. Instead, we're going to focus on maybe some more advanced topics like positioning and dealing with other snipers. Anyway, let's jump into it. So, TF2 has a lot of what I like to call designated sniping spots. You'll see them on most maps. It's often a high ground spot with a direct long sight line to where the enemy is coming from. They're kind of away from the rest of your team, maybe in the back of where you're defending. You've seen them. Well, I actually think most of these spots are a huge trap most of the time. You never want to be where you're expected to be. Other snipers are going to be pre-aiming there, and spies are going to be looking there for their one kill they get before they die, and most importantly, you won't have your team to protect you. While sniper can do alright in 1v1s, a lot of the time he needs help, or at least like a distraction from some teammates to come out on top. This is especially true when you're unprepared for the fight. You should try to find positions that are up with your team who can protect you, and where enemies aren't expecting to be shot from. A good player can be really, really hard to hit if they know you're looking at them, but you can bypass that. You can do that by taking a good off angle and moving often. Doing stuff like peeking a spawn or killing people on their way back to battle will give you some of the easiest shots you'll ever take. Even though this will be more dangerous, it also gives you room to fall back when things aren't going your way. If you're already far away, you might not have anywhere to run to. Sniper can feel like a win more kind of class, meaning when you already have the advantage, or your team is pushing, you have the space and the distraction needed to deal tons of damage. When on the attack, you'll often feel like a second objective to the enemy team. Just the potential of what you could do is sometimes enough to be really useful, especially if they've already seen it that match. Enemies will try to dive you all the time, and if you can just survive and deal chip damage, that's enough to let your power classes take over the enemy team, and give you the room that you need to keep that advantage going. Make sure you're peeking unpredictably from different angles and being an all-round nuisance. Also, if you can find vertical cover that covers your body and lets you peek out just your head, that's really powerful too, especially against other snipers. Be the smallest target you can be. So the cart is actually a really great piece of cover for snipers too. Don't be that sniper that never touches the cart. That's a stereotype. You can peek around the cart really well. Nobody expects you to be there. You get free healing. You're actually helping with the objective. It's a big win. Just be careful of splash damage. One last tip before we move on, and use this responsibly. As the sniper, if you have a straight wall on your right and you scope in and crouch, your head is hidden, even though you can see the angle. Just make sure you're hugging the wall as much as possible. If you combine this with a forward position, you can get a few kills without really any risk from other snipers, or anyone else for that matter. Alright, now we're going to talk about some combat stuff. So this is the class that I always wanted to play. In the beta of TF2, this was the scout's primary weapon, and they gave it to the sniper. This gun is incredibly powerful. It's a primary weapon after all. It does 120 DPS if you hit every shot, and it's relatively accurate, and it shoots fast. When combined with having a rifle that does 50 damage with full accuracy and movement, you're actually an incredible dueling class. And that's not even mentioning that your sniper rifle can headshot and suddenly deal 150 damage. Having access to headshots and being able to one-shot a number of classes is great, but for a variety of reasons isn't always the most consistent way to play, even if you have incredible aim. Oftentimes the answer is to body shot once or twice and finish off the target with SMG. Hit detection for headshots in TF2 can sometimes be questionable at best. Though they often favor the sniper, you have to realize when it's best to go for the shot that you can hit most of the time. This allows you to focus on movement more. A scoped in sniper is the easiest thing to hit in the game. Even if it's only for a brief moment, as a rule of thumb, use the SMG when you can deal consistent damage and then quickly pull out the sniper to no scope when you have to burst. Go for headshots when you have the opportunity or when you have no other choice. But you'll get a feeling for when to use each weapon to maximize DPS. I got one last tip, and it's actually an aim tip. For me, it seems like if you track your target, even if it's just for a millisecond, like right before you shoot, the hitboxes just work better. If you only flick and it works for you, that's cool. But for me, it just doesn't have the consistency that it does in other games. I'm not really sure why, but it's just how it goes. Long story short, I love the SMG. It's my favorite weapon, and I'm an SMG main, not a sniper main. Call me crazy, it's the best. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little about movement. Movement is probably the most important thing for anyone to learn on any class in TF2. It's a movement game. And this is more just to say that snipers have to move too. A lot of snipers just don't really move. You know, try to learn how to surf rockets and deal damage when you can. If you can just get a little further away or be a little more healthy for someone diving in, that can just allow you to win so many more fights. Having a bit better movement to hit a melee on a close range class you've hit a few times can tilt somebody off the face of the earth. I can't count how many times I've just killed scouts because they get too close. Your traversal of terrain is really important too. Much like when playing scout, if you can be unpredictable with cover and height advantage, you'll win so many more fights. You can peek from unexpected angles, come out of nowhere, it's great. So there's a few good ways to practice this. You know, there's jump maps, although that's mostly rocket jumping. It still helps. There's obstacle courses like KZ maps, but at the very least, I would just use the extra time in game, like the warm-up phase, to jump around, working on bunny hopping and jumping on top of props. Just getting a general familiarity with the source engine movement. That'll help you in some other games you might play too. General rule of thumb, just if you don't know, in the air, don't press W. Just A and D and aim with your mouse and you'll be turned in like a madman. Alright, now we're going to talk about maybe one of the most important topics, and that's sniper versus sniper. So, sniper versus sniper is truly one of the lamest matchups in the entire game. Once you're at a certain level, it's really just about second scoping or who can peek the other when they're busy. You will be called lame, especially if you're winning. But if you're trying to kill the other person, why would you give them the easier shot and take the harder one yourself? The other sniper has bad or unpredictable movement. Yes, by all means, just scope in and shoot, just kill them. But if they're moving unpredictably and crouching after every shot, don't give them the free kill on you. It's not easy to hit somebody when they're doing that, no matter how good your aim is. You'll encounter a specific scenario a lot as sniper, and I'm sure all you sniper mains out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. You see him, he sees you, and you're both just AD strafing at each other until the other person commits to scoping in. You might bait a scope in real quick. This happens all the time. A few tips that I have for this that I don't really see other people doing too often is 1, just shoot him unscoped. It seems obvious, but the amount of people that don't even try is wild. You can only take 2 shots and a little tickle of SMG or 3 sniper shots, and that's no scope, so go for the unscoped shots. By doing this, you'll also pressure them to scope in so you can get the clean kill. This also really works to break another sniper's overheal before you scope in and go for the kill. Another thing you can do, depending on the range, is, once again, bust out the SMG. If you're at a range where most of the shots are hitting, the aim punch, the shaking of the screen, if they're scoped in, will make it so they basically can't hit a shot intentionally. And if they hit it, you just start typing in chat. They're either forced to hide, die, or face you head on. The last thing you want to do versus another sniper, no matter how competent, is to be easy to hit. And that's even if being easy to hit lets you one-shot them. As I'm sure you already know, opposing snipers are one of the biggest threats to you, but also can be one of the biggest wastes of your time. It can be really useful to kill enemy snipers, but of course, you need to think about when it's worth it. If the other team has a bunch of snipers, as often they do, sometimes you'll spend the entire game just killing snipers and nobody else. It feels like, at least. If they aren't ripping your team apart, you might want to consider when you would be more of a help killing their power classes and supporting your team. Like, if you can kill a medic, even if you die to another sniper, it's probably worth it for so many reasons. Like, medic counters sniper, they have Uber, it gets reset, they can't heal, it's amazing, just kill the medic. Remember, no matter the skill of the enemy sniper, or snipers, it's never a good idea to peek a sight line being washed by multiple of them. It's pretty often that you'll kill one and the other will kill you while you're busy. Just make sure you try to isolate the angles one at a time. You can also try to position yourself to shoot their team and be on scene until you know they're busy and just get the easy shot. Alright, and that's all I really have for today. I hope you guys learned a little bit about Sniper and how I like to play. This is my first time using video editing software, so the video might be a bit rough around the edges, but it was really fun to make, and hopefully I can make some more stuff soon. And a real big thanks to anyone who played with me while getting these clips over the last 2 weeks or so. It's really fun, and I'm sure we'll do it again. If you have any questions or want me to go more into depth about anything I talked about today, let me know. Hope to see you out on the server collecting accusations and owning some noobs. The next part is just going to be a bunch of clips that didn't make it into the video, but I thought it was a shame if they went to waste. The music for that part is going to be done by my friend, and another big thanks to him.